carry this on. This is day 2 of the conference, which will close tonight. It's been incredibly eventful and very gratifying. So I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Our subject today is titled Rethinking and Revaluing Professional Development, Ensuring Equity, Access, and Affordability for Faculty and Staff in Higher Education. So it's a long title, but it really speaks to the issue of professional development. And I'm reminded, having been in the past as both a president and also as a provost, that there have been many thoughts about faculty development. In fact, one of the strongest ones ever expressed to me as a provost by faculty was that they didn't need development. That in fact, it was the wrong term that had been chosen. And so in my early days as a provost, I called the center a faculty enhancement center because development somehow was a demeaning term to use. We're certainly well past that phase at this particular point. But I think there are a number of issues to be addressed, not only about rethinking, but appropriately revaluing professional development. I think as not just because of technology, but a variety of other resources that we have to embrace what this development is about and the resources that we can use to make it possible. And to help us today address this issue, we have 3 very knowledgeable presenters around a subject and a platform that we will be discussing. I'm going to take a moment now to introduce to you all 3, and then I'll ask each one of them to speak in turn, and then we'll move to the next step. So first introduce Daniel Kirk, recently joined Winona State University as the Dean of the College of Education. Dan, glad to have you here. Prior to joining WSU, Dan served as the Dean and Professor of Education at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah in the United Arab Emirates, which would be a story in itself. We'd certainly like to hear about that sometime. He's also served as Associate Dean and Professor of the National Defense College in the United Arab Emirates, Associate Dean in the College of Education, and Executive Director of the School of Learning and Teaching at Pacific University in Oregon, where he held a tenured professor's position. So Dan, we're glad to have you aboard. I'm going to introduce all 3 and then have them speak. The next presenter, actually the next participant who actually will speak first is Jeff King. Jeff King began at the University of Central Oklahoma in January of 2012 after serving for several years as the director of the Kohler Center for Teaching Excellence at Texas Christian University. Jeff began working on what became the Student Transformative Learning Record, known as Stellar, STLR. On this initiative, he began after he arrived at UCO, ultimately winning a $7.8 million grant from the U.S. Department of Education Title III to support Stellar scaling. Stellar's success in student retention and academic achievement has meant it's been adopted and adapted at several institutions in the United States and abroad. And Jeff has served as the PI and the co-PI on additional grants for Stellar from Lumina, Gates, U.S. Department of Education, and the National Science Foundation. Third, and very appropriately because of the platform we're going to be looking at today, is Stuart Blacklock, the CEO and founder of Casper, and the visionary of its flagship platform, Qedex. Stuart has worked with higher education institutions across the globe for over 15 years and has developed an invaluable network of professionals that has ultimately shaped Qedex to meet the evolving needs of colleges and universities across the globe. Stuart's vision is equitable, accessible, and affordable professional development for all faculty and staff in higher education, which is obviously a point of import to all of us in higher education at AASCU institutions. So those are our 3 guests today, our panelists. And at this point, I would like to call on Jeff King to offer us an overview of how UCO, in fact, is implementing Qedex. Jeff?
Thank you, Dr. Betts, and thanks everyone for the opportunity to share a little bit about something that is really an important topic, as you all know, in higher education, and that is faculty professional development. I am very much of the opinion that the teaching center at a university is perhaps maybe even the most valuable leverage point in bringing about institutional level change at a university or a college. And there are a number of reasons for that, but chief among them, I believe, is that the absolute central core of what colleges and universities do is they help students learn. And the people that do that in a role that places them as assessors and evaluators of that learning in a formal process, that's the faculty. So the core function of the university is faculty engaging with students. If you want to change student outcomes, which ripple across to institutional outcomes, then faculty development is a leverage point that takes a great deal of finesse in managing, because at most colleges and universities, faculty come voluntarily to the teaching center. So here at the University of Central Oklahoma, over the years, we have developed what I would consider, and many others have agreed, is a very robust faculty professional development operation that faculty engage with of their own volition and do so to a large degree. And one of the things that we have always struggled with, even given that success, is faculty professional development for adjuncts. Adjuncts, of course, operate on different schedules. They frequently teach at multiple institutions, and they may only be on your campus if it's an adjunct teaching face-to-face classes simply during the time of that class. If they're an online adjunct, they may never be on your campus. So how do you serve them in order to provide them quality faculty professional development? And so Qedex, the platform to be discussed today, works beautifully for us because this is high quality professional development in an asynchronous platform. We were delighted to discover when we first engaged with Qedex that Qedex has a reflective component that's a part of these developmental opportunities. And that's near and dear to our heart because of our mission around transformative learning, which requires critical reflection for growth. So in Qedex, what we found was a way to offer asynchronous, if you will, self-paced, high-quality faculty professional development for not only our full-time faculty who struggle with schedules as well, but also our adjuncts. And then the last point I'll make about why this worked so well for us is that in our robust faculty professional development process, which we house in our 21st Century Pedagogy Institute, we have 5 faculty learning outcomes. Faculty can develop along multiple pathways toward mastery in all 5 of those outcomes. The courses existing currently on Qedex map to those 5 learning outcomes. And this means that these opportunities now available for adjuncts and others fit beautifully within our existing pathway for faculty professional development with a way to track this based upon the pathways towards achievement in each of those faculty learning outcomes. It's been a beautiful fit for us. We're quite excited about it.
Well, Jeff, thank you very much. I'm going to go right on to Dan, but I wanted to ask you a question, and because you've raised Qedex, which we're going to hear from Stuart later about it, but how long has the Pedagogy Institute at UCO been applying and using this particular platform?
Well, we introduced it to the advisory board. These are all faculty of our 21st Century Pedagogy Institute this semester. They became extremely excited about it, and they were the ones that said, oh my goodness, this thing is going to be great for us too as full-time tenured faculty and not just for the adjuncts. So they have already been in noodling around, if you will, becoming excited about it. And they are actually planning a sort of splashy introduction and launch at the beginning of this coming spring semester, because they want to message. This is faculty to faculty messaging, and they are very excited about. And they actually said, wait a minute, let's not do it right now. Let's do a splashy introduction, because we want to talk to our peers about the great opportunity that this is going to have for all of them.
Right. And I can imagine, Jeff, that peer influence will be crucial in terms of adoption, correct?
Absolutely. I think it was in 2014, the Gates Foundation did a national survey. It was several hundred faculty. And one of the questions was, what is the one thing that would convince you to try a new teaching instructional practice? And the number one thing on the list turned out to be a peer in my department talking to me about it and saying, I tried this, it works great. You should try it too.
Well, terrific, Jeff. Thanks. We'll be getting back in the dialogue with you later. I'm now going to go from Oklahoma to Minnesota to Winona State University, an institution that I've known well in the past as well. And Dan, if you please give us the overview and snapshot from Winona and the College of Education and the Qedex platform.
Yes, so hello everyone. Nice to be joining you. I don't know where you're all sitting, but it's a fairly chilly late morning in Minnesota here. I think the winter is certainly upon us. So I'm Dan Kirk. I'm the Dean of the College of Education. I've been at Winona State. This will be just coming into my third year. So still I call myself the baby dean amongst the other deans who have been here much longer than myself. So Winona State University, we're sort of a mid-sized, comprehensive state university. The College of Education that I lead is one of only two colleges at the institution that has graduate programs up to the doctoral level. So we run in the College of Education here undergraduate, graduate and doctoral level programming. Our university is around about the 6,500 mark FTE at the moment. We're down, like I would imagine many of you are, in enrollment at the moment. But we are seeing some very positive signs in terms of, from the College of Education perspective, in terms of our enrollment and interest in the profession. We prepare not only teachers, but school counsellors, school leaders, superintendents, and then through our graduate programs up to our doctorate level, next level leaders and those who want to go into higher education. So maybe flipping it back to sort of Qedex and our involvement. So I've been involved sort of with Stuart and Qedex for about 9 or 10 months now. One of the things that I did as a new dean coming in, like all new deans do, right? If you have a look around and think, what can I change? And then if you're a smart dean, you stop and say, but what should I change and what should I leave alone? And one of the things that we wanted to look at was how we accessed professional development opportunities, not just for our faculty, but also we have quite a large professional staff here in the College of Education, a large number of those who also have, professional learning needs, professional development wants and aspirations that we should be helping to serve in terms of their own career progression. So we sort of came across Qedex. Qedex sort of aligned with another aspect we were looking at, which was looking at our national accreditation for our teacher licensure programs and moving away from CAPE towards an AQUIP model. And Qedex sort of aligns a little bit with some of the standards that AQUIP has. So from a administrator's perspective, this was really trying to hit that sort of how few touch points can we have to meet as wide a need as possible that we need in the college. Many of us, I'm sure, throughout our days are navigating between multiple platforms, multiple different pieces of software and modes of doing something. And Qedex sort of brings a lot of the needs that we have as a college together under one roof. And then as we learn subsequently, actually a lot more than we ever anticipated we could do through the platform. So we originally came in looking at a professional development model, looking at a platform to help serve the professional development needs of faculty and staff. Again, similar to what Jeff was saying, the outcomes, some of the core pillars that are on Qedex align very closely with what our professional development planning model is here at Winona State. We're a bargaining unit institution, so the planning for faculty in terms of their professional development plans are fairly rigid. They're set out in a contract. But even within that rigidity, the pillars are there, and they're similar things to what we all would anticipate. And Qedex allows us to meet some of the needs around those pillars and planning for faculty. So when we started talking about this as a group of leaders in the college through department chairs and directors, and then it trickles down to faculty, Qedex were very, very good actually in accommodating, just to give us sort of a sandbox to play in. They set up a really wonderful micro site for the college that we could put courses in and request courses go in. And then we just sort of let faculty play at it and see what they thought of it. And the feedback was very, very positive. Faculty liked the fact that it was self-paced. They liked the fact that it tied very closely into the professional development model and format we have here at Winona State, and actually in the Min-State system for our faculty. They liked the fact that actually there were things on there that they hadn't even thought about. There were things on there, there were access to courses and opportunities that just sort of made this sort of blow up, almost in a mushroom cloud type of thing. You know, we started down here and now it's growing out. We've got faculty who are using it to connect to colleagues around the world through the sort of the joining of groups and the chat functions and things like that. So the feedback we got was very positive, to the point where I did something very, very difficult for me to do as a dean, and I reached for my top drawer checkbook and decided we'd probably want to sort of sign up to this platform and see if it's really something we're going to use. And we did that. So we're, you know, I'm talking as an end user. We're a subscriber to Qedex as a college of education. So the faculty piece has sort of blown up. Faculty are now using this platform in their own classes, right? We're a college of education. So all of our work is around promoting equitable access to education. So many faculty are using Qedex and some of the courses in Qedex as resources in their own classes, teaching particularly our undergraduate students, almost like they would use a textbook or any other resource. They're building it into their syllabi. So then working with Qedex, we thought, well, is there a way that this actually impacts our students more positively as well, rather than just being a resource that faculty are using? So we worked with Qedex and created sort of a little bit of a pilot model around, well, what if we gave our undergraduate, our junior and our seniors in teacher education programs, those pre-licensure students, those who are going to go out and be teachers, access to this to start sort of playing with themselves, to supplement, if you like, what we're doing in the College of Education, to support them when they go out into the field, into their field experiences and their clinical practices, and also to build up a portfolio, a body of learning that they can take when they graduate from us, alongside their credential and the experiences and preparation they've had, for something to show prospective districts and say, hey, and while I've been at Winona State and while I've been out in the field learning and trying to navigate what it is to be a teacher, I've also taken these courses through Qedex, this sort of micro credentialing route that helps me think in a little bit more depth about the role of a teacher before I just jump straight in that first semester and the chaos. I was a former teacher, by the way, so that chaos of that first year, you know, sort of surrounds me. And then, so, and I'll finish in a minute, but then what we did, so that became very, very powerful. So now all of our juniors get access to Qedex. We sign them up when they come into the college. We use it as a way to help promote the profession. We use it as a way for them to build their own portfolios, to tap into areas that they think they may need some support in or they're interested in. They're, again, like faculty, they're going off and they're making connections that, you know, we hadn't even anticipated. But also from a college, we can push stuff out through their accounts. We can push stuff out that we think is going to be helping them when we know that they're at key points in their program and in those first 2 or 3 years of their career as teachers, because we give them access for those first 2 years post-graduation as well. We can say, you know what, we know that in year 1, you know, around winter break time, you know, new teachers are often worried about and thinking about these things. Well, where are there resources we can push those out as a support mechanism? Selfishly as well, as a college, that's a huge data pool as well, right? We know that the reporting requirements for many of us around our completers and how they have an impact post-graduation, we can track them, we can keep in touch with them, we can ask how they're doing, we can gather that data and say, so many of our teachers or our graduates are working in these districts, these type of districts, impacting these type of children and these students in those districts. And then the one other leap that we made, which again was totally unanticipated, but is incredibly powerful, is now districts are coming to us and saying, tell us more about this Qedex platform. How can we use it in our districts to support professional development of educators, of our district staff? Because particularly in rural areas, right, small districts, you know, 1, 2, 3 building districts, they still have to meet all those same professional development requirements. They still have teachers who need to relicense, superintendents who need to relicense, district staff who need professional development. Everyone from a lunchroom worker through to a superintendent has some form of professional development need. And so small districts in particular saying, we want a piece of this. We want to tap into this because we can't afford to bring in consultants at $30,000 a go, you know, to deliver professional development to our district. This could be a real way of meeting that. It's incredibly affordable for them, but maybe even more important than the price, and I'll never let my provost hear me say that, but maybe more important than the price is that it's targeted, right? It's self-directed. So we can see where individuals want to improve, how they can do that, how it can be self-paced, and we can track how that improvement has a positive impact on their career trajectory, and ultimately, in my world, the impact they have on those children that they serve. So I'll stop there. We are very, 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 very happy with Qedex and the platform. We have no plans to discontinue using it. In fact, we're thinking about how we can expand this even more. So I know later we have a chance for Q&A, but that, Don, is how we're using it here.
Dan, thanks so much. Your description of how you're using it and the enthusiasm with which you communicate it lets us know that it's having a positive impact there. I really appreciated the comments you made about the connections to the local school districts, because I think virtually all of our institutions have colleges of ed and are obviously creating teacher education programs and populating the schools. And that kind of endorsement is important. And something else that you said, this instrument, this platform seems to enhance your ability to have a career-long relationship with your teachers once they head out, which I know first and second year teachers, just like you were talking about, and those can be very lonely times, and being able to connect with them like that really makes a difference. So thank you so much, Dan. Well, we've heard from Jeff and Dan, and now I'm going to turn our attention over to Stuart. Stuart, looking forward to your presentation. I know that you've had experience in global higher education. You have a global perspective on professional development and have created instruments, including TEDx, to meet those needs. And I'm looking forward to your comments and your presentation now on Qedex.
Well, thank you, Dr. Betts. It's a privilege to be here. So thank you also to AASCU for the invitation. And as well to Jeff King and Dan Kirk. These two guys have been instrumental in helping us shape and refine Qedex into the platform that it's rapidly becoming. My name is Stuart Blacklock. I'm the CEO of Caspia. We have been an organization based in higher education all around the world for about 8 years now. And really my research in this area of professional development was born out of the pandemic. Last year, we were due to have a string of workshops across India and Pakistan, and they were all kind of like put on pause. But however, we were asked to run a number of workshops for the Association of Indian Universities. And this is really where everything kind of started to move and take a new direction for my organization. We created a platform called Qedex, which is it's a global community for higher education professionals and provides asynchronous self-paced courses. We have a panel, an advisory panel, which is made up from very well-respected people around the world. And we basically rely on them to help us guide and shape the technical, the course roadmap that we bring out every year. And just on the note of, before I go any further regarding the schools of education, it's with our work with Dan Kirk at Winona State that we've launched a new initiative for USA, and that is to provide 2 million free teacher graduate accounts across the whole country over the next 4 to 5 years. Our belief is that, obviously we can not only meet the accreditation or state requirements for the teachers and faculty in the schools of education, but it's also important to give the teacher graduates a toolkit as they move into the K-12 or B-12 kind of workforce and try and work on that attrition rate, which we all know is fairly high across the states. In fact, it's across the whole world. And what I want to show you just over the next few minutes is a couple of slides just to demonstrate or show you some of the research that we have conducted last year. It's quite fascinating. We had a survey of about, I think, 26 questions, and we had, I think, asked them, over, almost 1,400 universities across the world. So it's quite interesting. I've taken a couple of snapshots of some of the key questions, and then I'd like to quickly go into the platform and show you how we can address the main challenges that we've been working on. And
Very good.
And I'd like to invite you for your feedback and your questions and see what we can go from there. I just want to quickly just share my screen. So if the AASCU host would be so kind as to permit me the...
Yep, you're able to do that.
Thank you very much. Okay, can I get the access?
Sorry, you should have access in there. Let me check. My apologies for the delay. There you go.
Thank you very much. No problem. Thank you. Okay, so I'll just. So yeah, we're very lucky to have a global kind of a support network of consultants and experts that I've known personally for many years. I've worked across all the continents. It's a great privilege to be involved in, and as I said, we're really trying to make a difference in higher education and also supporting the teacher graduates in the USA as well as across the world. We have the Caspia Foundation, where almost a third of our profits go into supporting developing countries with educational needs. For 2022, our mission is to support all Iraq education, K-12 educators, teachers with resources and as much material as we can provide them through the Caspia Foundation. We came up with this tagline, it's time to rethink professional development based on these challenges that we've identified. And the key one, which I'm sure we all agree, and as Dan also pointed out, that professional development has become so expensive. It's really creating a lot of barriers to affordable or a systematic, program for professional development.
My apologies. Could you try to reshare the screen? Nobody's seeing your screen right now.
You're not sharing my screen again? Oh, okay. Yep, 1 second. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's try again. All right, so just watch
the screen does work now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, just a few quick slides back. Yeah, so we've recently just, can you see my PowerPoint screen?
Yes, we can see the full screen if you want to put it on presentation mode.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, here we go. We should be good to go now. We've recently joined Quality Matters, by the way, where all of our courses will be going through the rigor and meeting all of the Quality Matter framework and the rubric as well for all of our courses. So yeah, what we've found throughout our studies across the whole world is professional development has become very, very expensive. You may not be surprised to know that in the United States, it is by far the most expensive country in the world when it comes to professional development. Other challenges we've found is it's very hard to measure how effective your investment or your kind of like professional development is. How can we try and provide you with information that shows that teachers have or administrative staff have learned, taken away these things from the courses and be able to implement it into their teaching. And I think mainly the key area here that because it's become so expensive, that not everybody gets an opportunity for lifelong learning, which is one of our big kind of visions to promote this around the world. And as you all probably know very well, it's very difficult to engage faculty. So this is the other area which we've come up with, and we're kind of like addressing these 4 key areas in Qedex. The research we took out last year was between March and November 2020. We had almost 1,400 institutions complete a professional development survey. You can see the regions that we approached. And I wanted to share this with you because I would be interested in creating a further survey across the States and North America, and to do some comparisons as well, just to see if this might be showing up some interesting information for higher education professional development. So just 4 things I wanted to point out. How important is professional development for your institution? You can see that the majority of institutions said it was mission critical, but there's over 200, maybe 300 institutions that don't have it, and no importance was probably close to about 150. Do you currently have a professional development strategy for faculty and staff? Surprisingly, the majority of institutions said they don't have anything, and a very small number that said they do. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to professional development? The key area, the biggest challenge here was it's hard to find a sustainable and systematic approach for professional development. And just bear in mind that these are institutions that from all around the world, that they might have challenges coming in and bringing consultants or instructors from different parts of the world. And so there are always kind of like barriers to professional development from within or from external opportunities. So we've created this platform, and we're really focusing on an end-to-end professional development process. We have thought about ways to engage faculty, and we realized that the first thing to kind of like promote accountability is to ask them to complete a professional development plan. Every profile in Qedex gives you the opportunity to create your self-assessment, identify your goals and strategies, and where you want to be over the next 12 months. It can be a copy and paste of your annual performance review, for example. And our courses, as I mentioned, are synchronous self-paced courses. These are delivered by experts from all around the world. I'll show you a few of them in a minute. And as Jeff mentioned, the reflective practice exercises are also mandatory for them before they get their certificates of completion, which has their learning outcomes and their contact hours. And the crown, or the jewel in the crown, I should say, is our Qedex strategic planner, which we've started developing now, which will allow you to upload or populate all of the requirements or all of the faculties. We can customize it to meet state or program accreditation requirements. You can have state point systems to identify your goals, your different various methods of professional development. And everything ties in really nicely to, for you to present these kind of these reports internally or externally. And you'll be able to conduct sampling, etc. So it's the really kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like closing the loop, isn't it? That's kind of like where I want to just pause now for the slides, and I'll just go here and see if I can share my screen now. Okay, so now hopefully with this wonderful technology, you should be able to see.
We're still seeing the slides right now. You may want to stop the share completely and then reshare. Ah, there it goes. It's fine.
That. Okay. First thing you'll notice that we can have it in hundreds of languages, and we are creating something very special. We have over 80 to 120 courses every year that we'll be bringing in for about 80 courses for higher education, and approximately 40 to 50 for K-12. As I mentioned, the key element here for all of your schools and colleges of education is that when you join us, all of your graduates will get a 2-year support kit or a toolkit that they can then use within your own private community. Instructors at the top of the game. We have provosts, we've got board members, we've got associate provosts from Germany, from England, from USA, from Scotland, Lebanon, you name it, Ireland. And these people have been vetted by our advisory board. We also have Dr. Catherine Welberg, you probably know, who's now Provost of Athens State University. She's delivering one course for us as well. In fact, two, I should say. And the way we go about it is that we will create a framework for our instructors aligned to the Quality Matters guide and rubric, and then they will complete the courses, and we have to get it approved by the Quality Matters before it gets put up onto our platform. Our roadmap is pretty phenomenal, purpose-built for higher education. You'll see the courses we have on at the moment. And our 2022 courses are all about courses for leadership, courses for administrative staff, and courses for faculty. So really, we're trying to create something here for everyone in one environment. And we also can create programs. The programs are a combination of asynchronous courses with a live introduction or a live webinar from the instructors as well. Again, the most important thing here is the affordability, and I'll get onto that in a few minutes. You can see here our toolkit for the Teacher Graduate Support Kit toolkit. Again, this has been in conjunction with the Minnesota Rural Education Association, a number of superintendents from Minnesota that Dan Kirk's been working with, and we've identified these courses as the first ones to be able to be up and running by May. So we're also looking out for some quality instructors from your institution. So we welcome you to share this information, and we have a process where we pay instructors to build a course, and they also get a royalty. Our courses are pretty phenomenal. Again, you can see that they're all different in sizes. Some have 4 modules, some have 3 modules. Each course contains topics, each topics contain courses. Again, these are just really relevant courses that are being adopted and taken up widely. I want to just jump into the change management by Dr. Welberg at Athens State University. And you can see here that we have 5,640 people enrolled in this course, which is pretty phenomenal, and from all around the world as well. Every course comes with learning outcomes. There's a forum for you to meet other people and talk about the course. And of course, you have the reflective practice exercise, which you must complete before you get your certificate of achievement. Quick 60-second introduction to this.
Change is always happening around us. Sometimes these changes are small and relatively insignificant. But sometimes these changes are massive shifts that fundamentally alter the way we do things. In this course, we are going to talk about how to manage change and how to manage change well. Now, essentially, there are 2 kinds of intentional change. The first type of intentional change is a forced change, something that's mandated by an external source. The second type of intentional change is proactive change. And this is where the real power of change management comes in. Now, of course, there's a third type of change that is unintentional change. And this often happens when people aren't paying attention to what's going on. But in this course, we're going to focus on intentional change that is done to improve and enhance our institutions and our organizations. Now, to do this type of change well takes careful preparation, planned execution, and it does not happen by accident. You're going to gain the skills and resources that you need to align, implement, and manage change and do it well. I'm Dr. Catherine Welberg, and I am very much looking forward to our journey in this course on change management. I have over 30 years of experience in higher education, and I have worked with change and change management in a wide range of areas. So no matter what your disciplinary area is, you need change management. And now, more than ever, we need to have people who know what they're doing with change management in order to implement positive.
Well, I'll just pause it right there. I think you get the gist of things. Thank you for viewing that. You can see just down below as well, as we open out each module, they also come with your topics and quizzes. So it's like a process. They're all self-paced. You can take them at your own measure. Part of our research also learned that showed us that 2/3 of our survey, the faculty prefer to be learning outside of their work in the evenings and the weekends. So you can see here that you've got this process. It's a nice, easy process. The complete the reflective practice exercise is fascinating. You just simply upload it. And we encourage them, the institutions, to produce their evidence of their certificates of achievement along with the reflective practice exercise. It just demonstrates they've actually learned it. They haven't run through the course, and they're just doing it for just to tick all the boxes. And just finally, how do we engage faculty? Well, everyone has their own profile, and they can select all of the courses which they can take over the next 12 months. You can see here where I've got all these K-12 courses, which we're starting to create at the moment, but also my courses for higher education, or the one I will be taking, are available here in this profile as well. I have the ability to store all my certificates, my documents, my research, my everything. Like, I can go on any travels and conferences. I can store it all here. My professional development plan is inside my profile. I can simply cut and paste and put that into my e-portfolio, which will be coming up in 2022. And most importantly, we have the groups, which is in your own private environment, where you can, as Dan said, you're able to reach out to your students, your faculty, to your staff. And, we've got public groups for your own discipline knowledge. And again, just a wonderful collection of people coming from all around the world, joining this movement of, equitable, accessible, and affordable professional development. Just a few more slides, and I know I'm getting close to the point of no return. Members, over 6,000 organic members. We've invited these people that are taking courses, so they're fully committed to their own professional development. People from all around the world are joining this platform, and we've got a large number coming in from America now as well, which is fantastic. And activity feed is the kind of people that you follow. And it's a bit like your Facebook kind of activity. I've got blogs coming down here. I've got news, and we've got someone interested in becoming a K-12 instructor. Dr. Jeff King is talking about his Iraqi colleagues with the Transformative Learning, IREX grant, and so forth. So it all comes together really nicely, because we believe that, to make professional development successful, you have to make it enjoyable. So this is a key element to the success of Qedex. And as I mentioned before, the wow factor is the price. It's, for an institution to join us, it's $50 per person per year, unlimited courses. So they can take one course or 50 courses, as many as they like, and they get that kind of journey. All of the courses are approved. They have their learning outcomes, their contact hours, and that really is a price point that resonated across Africa and across Asia. And for us to be truly transparent and follow our vision of affordable professional development, we've made this available to Europe and to North America, the same price points. So, for a small investment, you're giving your faculty and your staff, as well as your teacher graduates, a really fantastic opportunity to grow and learn. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Betts. I think that kind of covered everything. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. I hope you enjoyed this. So again,
Jeff, not Jeff, sorry, Stuart, thank you so much for this fascinating glimpse of a very significant project that's impressive from a number of perspectives, but even given my personal background, the fact that you started with a global vision and worked your way back to Europe and North America. It tells me a great deal about how you see the efficacy of education impacting all of humanity. So congratulations. Your price point, I wrote it down. Wanted to be sure I got it right, and I'm sure my colleagues are going to do the same. Before we go into any questions, would you reiterate, you've made the point twice, but I think it's important, particularly for the teacher ed people, to talk about that, the teacher education graduates access for 2 years. Could you talk about that just a moment, please?
Yes, certainly. Our studies, and from what we've learned, especially across North America, is the attrition rate at years 2, 3, and 4 is very high. And the reason behind this is lack of preparation or lack of assistance, and obviously the pay scale or the wages here is the key driver. By offering this support kit or this toolkit that we're creating, it enables the schools of education to maintain that support mechanism. You'll find this meets the requirement of CAPE, of AQEP, but it's a great opportunity for them to be able to say, I need support, and I can come back to where I graduated or where I came from my studies, and use this as a tool set. You have your own private groups for your alumni. You can have private groups or your subgroups, I should say, for your alumni and your teachers and faculty. And as Dan Kirk mentioned, they love it. The graduates really are using it. They're finding that the course is very helpful, and of course this goes towards the whole 4 or 5 year teacher license renewal certificates as well. And for them to get that 2-year free resource, we're giving a lot of resource and opportunities for the school districts. I'm sorry. We're getting a lot of opportunities for the school districts to have some resources available for them as well.
Well, thank you for that. We have a couple of minutes left, and for those of you that want to bring some questions into the chat, that would be fine. And we'll do that over the next minute or so. But Jeff, I wanted to ask you about the point that Stuart made because you referred to it as well, about the importance of reflective practice exercises. I know that's been part of the Stellar model and something that has impressed funders, et cetera. And I think it really ties in well to what Stuart was presenting. If you might just say something about that piece of it.
Absolutely, and you're exactly right about its importance in terms of faculty members' growth, whether you're talking teaching, research, or service. That reflective practice, and then importantly, critical reflective practice is something that with our own faculty here across the 7+ years we've had our Stellar program in place, our faculty have said the critical reflection about what I'm doing as a teacher and seeing the results in terms of the trickle-down effect for my students as well as for my own development is one of the key things that has been so well received by faculty here. And it does include that aspect of responding to well-designed prompts that lead you into the kind of reflection that is not reflection for reflection's sake, but it's actually reflection intentionally designed to help you see the arc of your own development. And a product like this, which allows you to keep track of that development, is something that, is analogous for our faculty to what our students have with what we term our Stellar snapshot. And if I may, there's one really important point I'd want to add here, and that is, as a faculty professional development person in higher ed for over 25 years, I'm very aware that all universities and colleges like to know that their homegrown existing teaching center is doing great work, and they are. This Qedex is not something that's designed to replace it or to be an off-the-shelf initiative. It is something that in our own case worked beautifully to fit within our existing structure that we're very proud of. And I see this potential at any place, any teaching center at any college or university.
Thank you for that insight. Dan, I'm thinking about what you said and thinking about the outreach from Winona to the school districts around you. Do you see this proliferating and spreading further? Is the word among colleagues in the school districts going to pass from one to the other because of the results that they're able to actually identify?
Yeah, I think so. So we've been working with the Minnesota Rural Education Association, which represents all school districts in the state outside of the Twin Cities, so the vast majority of school districts. And there is statewide interest in this, everyone from those knocking on the door of our northern neighbour all the way down here to southeast Minnesota. And so as I talk to colleagues, not just within the state, but across the country and actually overseas, yeah, I think the model we've built out is incredibly attractive. I think it meets a need. The price is there, the access is there, the equity is there. So I have no doubt. I mean, I'm really excited to be in on the ground level at this, because when this does explode, and I fully expect it to over the next couple of years, I can sit back in my dotage and say, hey, I was a small part of that, because I think this is really going to be it's going to make a lot of change. It's going to make a lot of difference to how we in K-12 think about professional development and meeting those needs.
Sure. I'm not going to forget the comment you made in your opening remarks about the mushroom cloud, incidentally. I think that kind of encapsulates the whole thing. And Stuart, how will people follow up from this session? Okay, I'm interested. Next step. How do I learn more? Perhaps sign up, but continue to be interested.
And thank you for that question. Well, I've just put my email address in the chat field. I will revert back to the AASCU hosts and Susanna to follow up with you directly, answer any questions you have. We have a team based all around the world. We have offices in USA, India, UAE, and the United Kingdom. So, we are able to work around the clock and deal with most instances. Yeah, I would love to have a conversation with you and learn a bit more about what challenges you may have, how we can maybe customize this platform to meet your needs, and also to look at Qedex 2.0, which is going to be the ultimate game changer. Every single person will get a free e-portfolio in this platform. There'll be a mentoring kind of aspect to it as well. The Caspia strategic planner, and just it'll be a bigger mushroom. But yeah, I'd be interested just to follow up and hear from anyone.
Thank you. I see no questions in the chat, and we're getting close to time. I've offered a few questions to the colleagues here, so if there aren't any questions that you want to ask from the group that's gathered, I want to go ahead and thank all three of you, Jeff, Dan, and Stuart, for providing a perspective on the issue of this continuing development, faculty and staff development, et cetera. This is a global model that seems to have, at least by what's being demonstrated, real efficacy and opportunity, and it will be fascinating to watch the evolution. I congratulate you, Stuart, on what you've created, and hopefully you'll be very successful, and that we will all be able to have a disproportionately positive effect on the people that we're responsible for through teaching and learning. So thank you for that. And for those of you that joined, if you will please follow out the survey feature in the session page to submit your feedback. AASCU absolutely wants to evaluate and improve the programming. And if you found this to be useful or you have suggestions, whatever, we would love to hear from you. That's very important in terms of planning, et cetera. Again, I want to thank Kathy Copeland and Susanna Rodriguez for their indispensable assistance. And I really liked this session. I knew about your program before, thanks to Jeff, and you're getting to meet Daniel and you, Stuart. But every time I hear about it, I see more opportunity. And I believe that we're going to be talking about this for a while. So with that, I'm going to close the session, and thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.